not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they faded. So trust me, in 20 years, you look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You are not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future, or worry, but know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never crossed your mind, the kind that blindsides you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Do one thing every day.
I would imagine by now you've memorized this particular spoken word piece. Everybody wears sunscreen, or Sunscreen by Baz Luhrmann, Luhrmann. Baz, B-A-Z. B-A-Z, first name, Luhrmann, surname, Luhrmann. Everybody's free to wear sunscreen. That's another variation of the title. Everybody's free to wear sunscreen. Just one of those pieces that we need to reflect on and pay attention to the words and see if we can find a new perspective on something that we have done or are doing. How about that? Yeah. Let's, for the benefit of those who haven't caught on, let's give you the words, slow it down a bit so you can follow, because there's a bit of music with it as well. Wear sunscreen. That's how it starts. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more reliable than my own meandering experience. I will dispense this advice now. Enjoy the power and beauty of your youth, or never mind. You will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they have faded. You know what that means, right? The general thinking is youth is wasted on the young. Youth is wasted on the young. So because of the very youth that they enjoy, they still are unable to get to a point where we could perhaps marvel at, and this is not to say it doesn't happen at all, but for them to get to a place where we can marvel that this young person has done so well for a young person that it's exceptional in the eyes of some. But in general, the thinking is the thinking that because you're young and you're, what the good book says, young man, I call upon you because you're strong. So you're young and you're strong and you're flexible and you can do this and you can do that and so on and so forth. It is in doing those things now that you position yourself, or you possibly set up yourself for some kind of, God forbid, some kind of trauma. And then your whole world comes crashing down. So enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. There's another song that says, enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. But to get back to the lyrics of this particular spoken word piece, enjoy the power and beauty of your youth, or never mind. You will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they have faded. But trust me, in 20 years, you'll look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You are not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future or worry, but that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never crossed your worried mind, the kind that blindsides you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Do one thing every day that scares you. Sing. Don't be reckless with other people's hearts. Don't put up with people who are reckless with yours. Floss. Don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember the compliments you receive, at the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how. Your old love letters. Throw statements. Stretch. Feel guilty if you don't know what you want to do with your life. The most interesting people I know didn't know at 22 what they wanted to do with their lives. Some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I know still don't. Get plenty of calcium. Be kind to your knees. You'll miss them when they're gone. Maybe you'll marry, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll have children, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll divorce at 40. Maybe you'll dance the funky chicken on your 75th wedding anniversary. Whatever you do, don't congratulate yourself too much or berate yourself either. Your choices are half chance, so are everybody else's. Enjoy your beauty. Use it every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what other people think of it. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Dance, even if you have nowhere to do it but in your own living room. Read the directions, even if you don't follow them. Do not read beauty magazines. They will only make you feel ugly. Brother and sister, together we'll make it through. Someday our spirits will take you and guide you there. I know you've been hurting, but I've been waiting to be there for you, and I'll be there just helping you out wherever I can. Get to know your parents. You never know when they'll be gone for good. Be nice to your siblings. They are your best link to your past and the people most likely to stick with you in the future. Understand that friends come and go, but for the precious few you should hold on. Work hard to bridge the gaps in geography and lifestyle, because the older you get, the more you need the people you knew when you were young. Live in New York City once, but leave before it makes you hard. Live in North Carolina once, but leave before it makes you soft. Travel. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise, politicians will philander, you too will get old, and when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone else to support you. Maybe you have a trust fund, maybe you have a wealthy spouse, but you never know when either one might run out. Don't mess too much with your hair, or by the time you're 40, it will look 85. Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. But trust me on the sunscreen. And we're going to leave it there because we recognize that there are so many lessons to be learned contained in this spoken word piece. Normally, we would just play it as opposed to go through it or going through it the way we just did. But you can do that on your own. Just Google everybody's free to wear sunscreen and do some introspection. We all need that at some point or another, don't we? Good afternoon to those joining us here on this Tuesday afternoon edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, here on Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Good afternoon to Ricardo, Inez Iona Campbell, Jones Dolores says she's enjoying some lovely Jamaican fruits and beaches. Sounds like she's home for the holidays from California. Welcome home, Jones Dolores. Nora Harris is greeting us as well. So to Charlene Kelly, good afternoon to you. May you have a blessed day as well. Jessica says, Buenas tardes, sending love, peace, and favor your way on this gifted day of Tuesday. Sophia Nemard, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us and welcome. We'll properly bring you in just a moment.
They're your best link to your past, and they're most likely to stick with you in the future. Understand that friends come and go, but with a precious few, you should hold on. Work hard to bridge the gaps in geography and lifestyle, because the older you get, the more you need the people you knew when you were young. Live in New York City once, but leave before it makes you hard. Live in Northern California once.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:30. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise, politicians will philander, you too will get old. And when you do, you fantasize that when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone else.
On that note of respecting your elders, let's remind ourselves that we're still in the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, the Decade of Action for Road Safety, and the UN International Decade of Indigenous Languages. It's the 15th day of the 8th month of 2023, the International Year of Millets. A millet is a cereal grown in warm countries and regions with poor soils, bearing a large crop of small seeds, which are chiefly used to make flour. 2023 is also the International Year of Dialogue as a Guarantee of Peace. Put another way, it's the 15th day of the third month of the North Atlantic, the 2023 North Atlantic hurricane season. And well, let's just say there is some indication that, well, let me not say it. Let's hold that for the time being and give you a look at the forecast. There's a tropical wave moving across Jamaica. There's a low-level jet stream across the central Caribbean as well. And the tropical wave is expected to be west of the island by this evening. A trough and low-level jet stream are expected to remain across Jamaica over the next few days. The forecast for the rest of this afternoon, isolated showers and thunderstorms mainly across central and eastern parishes, windy along the south coast. Tonight, lingering showers across sections of northern parishes. Let's take a look now at some of the observances for the month of August. And let's remind you what these observances are. So it's, well, Christians around the world are observing the Assumption, the taking up of the Virgin Mary, body and soul, into heaven when her earthly life was ended. In Canada, it's known as Acadian Day. The Encamp and La Massana village festivals are on in Andorra. It's Assumption. That's what they have, how they have it here. Assumption Foundation Day in Paraguay. Freedom Day in North Korea. Liberation Day and Republic Day in South Korea. Our Lady of Bisila Day is being celebrated in Equatorial Guinea, where they're also marking Constitution Day. Panamanians are commemorating the foundation of Old Panama. It's Independence Day in Brazzaville, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It's also Independence Day in India. There's a special holiday in the Malata province of the Solomon Islands. Costa Ricans are celebrating Mother's Day. It's Military Regime Day in Niger, otherwise known as Niger. Hunuco in Peru. La Digue Festival in the Seychelles. A National Day in Liechtenstein. National Mourning Day in Bangladesh. Egyptians are remembering the flooding of the Nile. The Danjiru Festival is on in Tibet. The annual pilgrimage continues in Montserrat, and Shintoists are still marking the Festival of Souls. Hoy es martes, el 15 de agosto 2023, y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa, Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia. Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado, porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones, y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos.
Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply.
C'est mardi le 15 août 2023 et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutez où que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être à votre service par une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme l'un de soi parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue.
Ladies and gentlemen,
all we're saying is it's Tuesday, the 15th of August, 2023, and we greet you well, wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices. And that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to both sides of the story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome.
back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You are not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future or worry, but know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum.
Good afternoon to those listening to us on 106.1, 106.3, 106.5, 106.7, and 106.9. From Moran Point to Negril Point, from the Goat Islands to Galena Point. This is Power 106 FM, serving Jamaica and the diaspora. Hello to those tuned in via the Power 106 FM app, which you have downloaded from the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on the nature of your device. Downloading is free, listening is free, wherever, whenever. We acknowledge those who have dialed a designated number to listen to Power 106 FM from the United States and the United Kingdom. Those in the US who wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM can call 631 359 8281. 631 359 8281. If you're in the United Kingdom and you wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM, your number is 0330 606 0953. 0330 606 0953. We're streaming live video on the Dervan Malcolm Facebook page. If you're not there yet, log on to Facebook. In the search box atop the page, type DERVAN MALCOLM. And you too will be able to not just hear, but see what's happening in the studios of Power 106 FM. If you don't have a Facebook page, no sweat, there's always YouTube. All you need is a smartphone, tablet, computer, laptop, desktop, any one of those. Then you need internet connection, but more importantly, internet connectivity. And one sure way to test for connectivity is by opening a browser. If you're able to browse, you're good to go. If not, then you might have an issue on your hands. What's on your mind this afternoon? We're anxious to hear your thoughts, your ideas, your suggestions, your criticisms, your issues, your commendations, your comments, your insights, whatever it is, we want to hear. The numbers to call 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us on WhatsApp directly. That number is 876-365-3844. 3346. 876 365 3346. And we thank those who are joining us for the first time as well. Good to have you on board both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Remember the text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876 365 3346. 876 365 3346. And just to give you a quick look at a couple of the trending stories on the Jamaica-Gleaner.com website. Man charged for gambling outlet robbery in Portmore. A 39-year-old laborer was on Monday charged in relation to the January robbery of a gambling outlet in Independence City, Portmore, St. Catherine, after the police say fingerprints recovered at the scene linked him to the crime. It's reminding me of attending the police expo at the arena and witnessing the layout of what was supposed to be a crime scene and discussing with the patrons at the same time on the location there what are some of the ways in which you can identify those who were in that space at the time, whether before, during, or after the crime was committed. Maybe a little more public awareness, apart from CSI, which I've never watched really, but I hear that that's the essence of CSI. But that kind of awareness is key. If more of us know what the elements are that could link us to a crime scene, then perhaps we would change our behavior to some extent, or at least augment the behavior. Alleged burglar held wearing clothes from apartment break-in, charged. Can you imagine this? So this person broke into, hold on, let's see. The police have charged a 24-year-old man after he was held wearing clothes he allegedly stole. He allegedly stole from an apartment he broke into. Well, his name is Kengo Fanti. The only Fanti I've heard of is, what's the name of that singer from Barbados? Rihanna. That's the only Fanti I know. Well, I'm learning another one now, but this one is Kengo, Kenguo, Kengo Fanti of Featherbed Lane, Spanish Town. Let's go to the break and come back.
Keep your old love letters. Throw away your old bank statement.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45. Farmers having issues with beet armyworm, diamondback moth larvae, corn earworm, melonworm, cabbage looper, and other pesky caterpillars and worms. Phoenix insecticide is the solution. Phoenix offers effective translaminar activity, giving both preventative and curative control. Phoenix gives control of up to 3 weeks and has a 1-day pre-harvest interval. Available at Caribbean Chemicals, Jamaica, and farm stores island-wide.
Chicken on your 75th wedding anniversary. Whatever you do, don't congratulate yourself.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us on WhatsApp as well, 876-365-3346, 876-365-3346. Let's see what we have in terms of messages. It's quite a bit, but they're not all related to anything current. There's a couple of WhatsApp groups that I know nothing about, but I managed to end up in those groups. And there are the usual postings by Calvin in North York, Ontario, Canada. Bishop Douglas Gooden, always showing off his cooking. This looks like pumpkin rice. with some form of stew chicken, maybe. Yeah, it looks like stew chicken. And this one, somebody conveying condolences. Thank you very much, and all the very best. And Dwight Peters keeping us informed with what's happening with his models around the world. Let's see who else is messaging us. I think this one was for Sanjay this morning. I have to forward that to the Power 106 WhatsApp. And yeah, we're just trying to make sure we're up to date here in terms of the messages, so that when you are ready to send your messages for the rest of today's show, they will be at the top of the pile. That's what we're ensuring. All right. Vision of New York is calling us. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Mr. Dervan.
Hi.
How are you?
I am fine, thanks. And you?
Doing good, man.
Good.
I'm back in New York here making some old-time corn dumpling.
Old time. What kind of dumpling?
Corn, you know, those old-time corn dumpling that they would grate from the, not the cornmeal, the corn, the straight corn.
I'm afraid I'm not familiar with that one. I thought you were going to tell me you were making some cartwheel dumpling, which is extra big dumpling.
I know I live so big, man. Oh, man. Yeah.
It's amazing, you know. As a child, I used to remember eating lots of dumplings. When you become an adult now, you're being told you have to watch the flour or whatever it is. But you used to eat it, and you eat it, and you run up and down the place, and you're still good to go.
Yeah, because you're very active on the outdoor.
Yes.
Yes, I brought me back some of those corn
yeah, tell me now about this corn dumpling that because it's I don't remember. I mean, I know there is cornmeal dumpling, which is different.
Right, this is way different because this is straight from the corn. Like from my grandmother's time. They used to grate the corn and the with that grater thing.
Yes.
And get the flour out of it, and they would sieve it. And they would put a little flour in it to get it together.
I see. I guarantee you, before this program is through, we're going to get messages and calls from those who can identify with the, what do you call it, cornmeal dumpling? Or corn dumpling?
Corn, yes.
Corn dumpling.
Corn, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And those are the real deal, you know.
So what you do? You crush the corn in such a way that it becomes sandy, so to speak, like sand.
Yes, it's just like the cornmeal. It would become just like the cornmeal, but they would grate it, use the grate. But now they have other thing now that they could use to blend it right out. So it becomes very fine.
Mm-hmm.
So yes. So you get that real old-time flavor, that real old-time taste.
I can just imagine.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say you can get most things that you need in cooking any Jamaican meal where you are in New York?
Yes, but except for this corn thing, I brought it with me from Jamaica.
Oh.
But you can get just about everything right here, from the Korean store, because they cater for us Jamaican.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated by that. The fact that they do their homework and they find out what tantalizes our taste buds, and they stock up on the items and then sell it to us, our own items, so to speak.
Our own item, and I don't think they will even ever taste the thing that they've been selling to us. They don't eat those kind of food.
Exactly.
But they know that once they open can shop on our behalf and our heads,
Yes.
then it's money making right there.
That's right.
Yes, and they do very good business back here.
Of course.
Yes, but I want to talk to you a little about that program that the Prime Minister has launched or been launching.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with that program, if it ring a bell to you.
Which one is that now?
A program, I think I heard its name is Lift.
Oh,
And the
Lift.
Prime Minister is
Yes, I haven't digested that one yet. I'm still trying to remember what Lift stands for.
Yes, it stands for something. I don't remember what it is, but hearing the name, it reminds me of a former Prime Minister that he had one out there, and it seems as if when you're in office, then you will run the program, but when you're out of office, then the program is no more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering how far this one will go. And not that I'm calling to criticize that I'm critical of it or anything of such. But while you're in office, the program is there. But when you're out of office, then the program is not there anymore.
Yeah, we haven't done too badly in recent times. There was a time, yes, that we would throw out the old and in with the new, as far as policies, socio-economic and political policies were concerned. But the best example we can identify so far that we're no longer at that point, generally speaking, and that is the oversight committee as far as our economy is concerned, the Economic Policy Oversight Committee, with both major political parties and other stakeholders have agreed to do all they can to ensure that the government maintains fiscal what's the term? But fiscal responsibility in terms of how the economy is governed. So it's not as bad as it used to be.
So what you're saying now, let's say 2024 comes around and we have a general election and the Prime Minister should be out of office, then this program will be still there because of the purpose that it's been launched to serve. So whether he's been around as the Prime Minister or not, then we'll still have this program going on.
Well, if we are still around, we will see what becomes of it.
Well, you see, that's what I'm talking about because we had one that called Lift Up Jamaica. That's why I asked you does it ring a bell, which it was one of the former Prime Minister's program, but then he's no more in office, and we haven't heard anything more about that program.
That's true.
Yeah, so, but we don't want it to be like that. We want whether you're in it or you're out of it, then
yeah, it must be a general agreement that the tenets of whatever the project is are so sound that they will outlive administrations.
Exactly. And if it's there to benefit, the country and young people, I don't see why, if you're not around, then why should the program not there? It should be still in full force going because it's about the country and about, people being benefited.
Yes.
Yes. So, I'm happy to hear about it. But my only thing is that, is how long will it last for, whether the Prime Minister is around or not, then it will be still there, serving the purpose, benefiting the country, benefiting young people, and, we'll see the result of it in the future.
Yeah, we hope it lasts long enough for us to see if it actually makes sense.
Yes. Well, that's what I was, a little concerned about because I've I've heard about many of those programs that comes on the scene and they only last but so much time.
Yes.
And as for what I've been hearing, they're very excited about this one. That I forgot her name. That I think she's coordinating it. Some a doctor lady.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember her name right now. And there's a lot of enthusiasm in it right now. So I'm just hoping that it will stay around for years to come.
Yes. I gather
Yes.
it's Dr. Ingleton who is
Yes.
leading it.
Exactly.
She's quite youthful and very energetic, and
Yes, I could hear that.
yes. Mm.
Yes, I think she was being interviewed by somebody, and I think on the manager in one of those programs, one of those shows.
Yes.
And yes, I could hear all the time excitement, and that this seems to be really gonna be taking heights.
Yes. Yeah, as
So,
far as we know, she's quite an illustrious and industrious performer.
Okay. And I wish all the best where it's concerned, and I hope that it will be a success.
We hope so, because if it is, then all of us benefit.
Exactly. The country will be benefited from it. Young people will reap the benefit. So yes, and that's what we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope it will also help to deter a lot of our all the ills in our society.
Mm-hmm.
And it will grow from strength to strength and even have some extension.
Well, let's see how it goes, and we hope and pray that we'll still be around to see what happens.
And when we are around on that, then we want to know that it's still there, in full force. And like I said,
yes.
Whether the Prime Minister is there or not, whoever in charge, then the program, because it's about people, it's about the country, and it's not about the party, or, or something like.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's my little thing.
Thank you for sharing.
No problem, Mr. Dervan.
All right. Take care. Voice Vision of New York speaking with us there on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Paro 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Franklin McDonald in Guelph, Canada, has shared with us a story, Storm Hans, floods, landslides, and evacuations in Norway, of all the places. I've hardly ever heard of any storm hitting Norway. If this is not climate change, then whoa. Let's take the break and come back.
Contractors, developers, and small builders. Contact Coast to Coast Group of Companies for high-quality concrete products. The time by Coast to Coast Group of Companies is
3 o'clock.
Sunscreen. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be...
Let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Paro 106 FM. To the phone lines. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. 876-922-4112-5. Are you there? Hello? Let's move on. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hello, good afternoon, my professor.
Good afternoon. Your location sounds different.
Yeah, actually, I'm in a restaurant in a Dervan. Having a lunch meal, you know. You can
Well,
hear me clearly?
well, we hope so. We hope it's not overshadowed by the other sounds in the space you're occupying.
Dervan, you see the program that the caller just talk about?
Yes.
It's a very good program, you know.
You think so?
Yeah, I know that. What that means that it's a spin-off based on the art program.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they give, you must have 3 CXCs, including maths and English. And you must be over 17. Hello?
Yes, yes, we're hearing you.
And 500 applicants they catering for from across 63 constituencies. And if you get through, you will get $85,000 every month.
What?
Yeah, you get $15,000 in your bank account.
Nice.
Yeah, but Dervan, the challenge is this.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the Jamaican students, they fail in mathematics.
Oh.
Yeah, because the last CXC sitting is only 4 out of every 10 people in the Caribbean pass mathematics.
That's what, 40%?
Yeah, but this year everybody's going to pass because the paper 2 was abandoned. So those who are successful in maths this year, they can apply for the program.
That's encouraging.
Very encouraging, Dervan, and I tell you, if we in the communities who are proficient in calculation could even voluntarily, for whatever reason, adopt a child and help them with the maths homework and maths, especially a male child, it could be a game changer going forward. It could change Jamaica dramatically from violence within the next 10 years.
Now, that would be something if we were able to achieve it.
Yeah, Dervan, you know that me never caught a year. Every day I do 1 hour voluntary work.
That's good.
Yeah, man, I tell you, I really sleep good at night time when I know how much children me help down the line. You know, it make me feel good. Another thing though, Dervan, you see the payroll taxes that is collected in this country.
That's PAYE.
Yeah, PAYE, sir. 3% of it, you see, when a payroll is run at Power 106, Power 106 has to pay 3% of their gross payroll to the art trust. And the art trust collected approximately 15 billion a year from payroll taxes. That goes into the art trust, and the Prime Minister sits over all of that money in his office. So there's a reservoir of money up there coming from the Jamaican taxpayer. And you see, if we could get, as I tell you all the while, get especially the small, medium enterprise to pay over their payroll taxes, then more people could benefit from funds like these. So this just goes to show you that we can do it, Dervan.
It can be done, yes.
Yes, it can be done, and it must be done in a Dervan. Because one of the things that I tell myself, if I help a 10-year-old boy now with tech, like on the book list and they have to read with them and practice maths with them, do them homework with them and start out things before they go to their bed. By that child reach 20, I can get a fruit from that tree in a Dervan, don't it?
Oh, yes.
Because money is the same, money ever go round. Money never dead until the man dead, Dervan.
That's right.
So we have to help out the young people then, because the world, even the climate change here is very serious. And they're going to need money. Everybody's going to need more money, Dervan.
Yeah.
I'm going to need more money. You're going to need more money. The government's going to need more money. But it's over rotate the money, don't it, Dervan?
Yeah.
And rotate the time to done.
True.
Yeah, Dervan, another thing I want to tell the listeners. Good afternoon to your valuable listeners and your precious callers. NCB going to prepare dividends this year, September.
Yes, so I heard. Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of people laughing their way to the bank.
Mm.
Dervan, did you know that a lot of our politicians, you see, they have a lot of shares in these businesses as well?
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good thing. So the point I'm making out there is that our politicians, our leaders on both sides of the parliament, the people need to realize, even though they're picking at their one another for power, they have managed to use their wealth and income to coordinate it in such an economy that most of them will never broke again as long as they live. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it is up to us as small people, those who consider themselves poor and less fortunate, to make sure that the environment in which they live, the communities in which they live, must be more peaceful, Dervan.
Yes.
And we have to make sure, like, if we live in a place like Portmore, we start keep more community meeting, Dervan, because we have the brains to do it in a Dervan.
Yes, a big part of the problem, though, is that too many of us start off on the wrong footing, or almost in a lost cause.
Lost cause, Dervan.
Yeah. So in other words, we end up in spaces, in environments where which are slip sliding away.
Yes, Dervan, you know, one of the things that I never hear any leader address in the parliament or in the Senate,
Mm-hmm.
why is Jamaica culture called a crab in the barrel culture? You ever hear they explain it at the university here?
Yeah, it's the analogy of how crabs behave. If you've ever stopped at Crab Corner, or if you know of anyone who would go in search of crabs, hunting crabs, and they put them in a bucket or any other container, you will find that in their bid to get out of the container, they invariably have to, or of necessity, have to pull down those who are making efforts to climb out of the container.
But
So,
Dervan, those things that breed only for jealousy and bad mind and envy.
yeah.
We have to try and kill that in the Dervan. You know, a lot of voluntary work. Because the money is just not there to pay for these services in the Dervan. You have to work out something with somebody and say to the things like the single mothers them, because I believe in the single mother household them and the single father household them. We need to target to fix these young people in the Dervan.
yes.
Especially the males.
Yes, I've heard a former I've heard a principal at a certain school on a couple of occasions saying to speaking to students, not students, speaking to parents and guardians, and asking them to raise their hands. All the single mothers, raise your hands. All the single fathers, raise your hands. But no, I think the person said all the single mothers raise their hands. And then the male principal said, well, as of today, you are no longer a single mother. I am the father of these young men, because it's in an all boys school. Yes.
Because I grew up with my mother and my father, you see?
Yes.
And with my father, counseling boys with them, you know. You want to make them know that women, when two baby born down at the hospital, down at Jubilee in Cali, say the female baby, spiritually and psychologically, is depending on her mother and her father to take care of her till she reaches 18. When she reaches 18, she expecting her spouse or her husband to take care of her until she old. And when she become old, she expects her children and grandchildren to take care of her till she dead. But him say, you males born with two seed and you must plant them and mean management. You have no such security in your lifespan. My first man father told me that one in veranda in a honey garden, you know, Dervan. Huh?
Yes, that's quite graphic. Mm-hmm.
Dervan, you know, it's most men, even in places like Gregory Park, you see, they can't take care of the woman, Dervan.
Sounds like you have been eavesdropping.
Dervan, me live next door Gregory Park. I live next door Gregory Park, you see.
Uh-huh.
They live free over there in the Dervan. They don't pay light bill, they don't pay water rate, and most of them don't pay rent. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them
That wouldn't be, and that goes to the point I was making earlier, that the spaces that people occupy, which they eventually want or at some point or another call home, is in so many ways already compromised.
Thank you, Dervan.
You know, and
What
so
is the compromise? Explain to the people them what compromise.
undermined, you know,
Undermine Dervan.
yeah, you know, it's
We start out with a bad mind.
yes.
People are saying, you know, left no way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be Dervan.
Yeah.
And that damage children's self-esteem.
Yes. So in other words, what should happen in I don't want to say in an ideal world, because it's not too far from being possible, and that is where you have areas demarcated for residential development, commercial development, industrial development, green spaces, etc. It's like we haven't been able to this day. We haven't been able to we haven't achieved enough in terms of creating an enabling environment as far as raising our children and our families are concerned.
You're perfectly right, Dervan. And at 61-year-old, don't we expect a 61-year-old man to be soon retired? And most of the 65-year-old man, then 61-year-old man, then in Jamaica, don't have a retirement plan, Dervan, and I don't want anybody in the apology out there.
Well, that is true. We have long learned that. It's what? It's about 9 point something percent, if that much, of the population.
So explain it to the people, Dervan. It means call it 10%.
Call it 10%.
All of the people that we drive up and down and drive big car and live big life and a flash out there. 10 out of every 100 of them can retire, but 90 out of every 100 can retire. Now that is mean, Professor?
That's right. You have to just keep working. It's like operating. It's like being on a treadmill that is it's manually operated, and you can't stop. If you stop, that's the end.
Thank you, sir. And Dervan, I'm going to ask you a big man question now. Big and serious. Do you believe a 61-year-old man now, or a 61-year-old woman now, should be depending on their children or grandchildren money to say when they retire, my grandpicnic and my picnic for mine me till me dead?
No.
Thank you, Prophet. Dervan.
Yeah.
That is an indictment on the PNP and JLP government for 61 years, so they feel the people fundamentally innocent.
Yeah.
They're going to put in a suggestion on both sides of the story. The people have jumped when the payroll run. 5% of the payroll of this country, the blood, sweat, and tears of the Jamaican people, but towards the NHT. Now the NHT...
Oh, hold a moment, please. One moment.
Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:15. Give your construction projects a solid start with top quality Jamaican-made building materials from Arc Manufacturing Limited. We deliver all your roofing nails, lumber, fencing, wire, and steel products island-wide. Call or visit any of our locations in Kingston and Montego Bay, or check out our website at www.arcja.com. Arc Manufacturing Limited, your building materials specialist.
meandering experience. I will dispense this advice now. Enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. Or never mind. You will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they fade. But trust me, in 20 years, you look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous.
Thanks for holding. You're on to the NHT.
Percent of the payroll of this country that people work, that come out of them pay, and the employer supposed to pay over 2.5%. Sit up on the NHT big bank account up there. Billions of dollars there, man. It's bigger than the 3% for the art money, right? Most of the landlords in Pleasant Park, they die here, Dervan, they die. And people have captured the land, both in Pleasant Park and Newland. I'm putting it out there. The NHT, the government, the cabinet of Jamaica, and the opposition, and the MP who are here in this area, proposed to the NHT to buy out the Pleasant Park land, especially those lands on which no property tax has been paid, and do a major development for Pleasant Park, and bring it in line with the fourth work, housing policy, both there and Newland. The fourth work can be declared a parish. I put that out there, because the people that work already and the money is up there, The money is up on the NHT with the Jamaican taxpayer work already. All of those 11 billion that the government is taking out for the last 6 years, they need to stop it and use the money to develop communities like Pleasant Park and Newland so that we have a better economy over Portmore. You know me tell you that, man? Because they don't pay light road here, they don't pay water, and they don't pay rent. And they're making life miserable for other people. If they buy them house over there, then 20 million and then 12 million a house, and paying property tax and paying utility bills every month. Life is miserable over there, Dervan, and you have to have sex to go in. And there's a lot of robberies going on over there in Portmore, you know.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Dervan. I'm going to say this, I'll come off for your show. If we have so much millionaires living in Portmore, and we have so much educated people living in Portmore, and the Portmore project fail, it will be a sad reflection on the Jamaican education system and black people in this crab in a barrel culture. And we have the money in here to do it because the Jamaican people want it already and it's up for the NHT. Take care of your program, Dervan, Malcolm, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thanks for the clarification.
Sure. Take care. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Para 106 FM. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. 876-922-4112-5. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sir Dervan.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I am giving thanks for life. And you?
Yeah, man. To God, be the glory, great things you have done.
Amen.
Sir Dervan, this list program.
Wonder if you could start by just taking off some of the volume. It's loud. Your line is loud.
You hear me better now?
Yeah, it's not so much better as over modulating. You don't want to go too high. Just bring it down a little.
Yes.
Yes.
This list program, Sir Dervan,
Yes.
is nothing more than another trick to Jamaican people. I want to tell you why.
But isn't it pretty standard? Hold on. Isn't it pretty standard for governments in order to demonstrate that they are doing something or to give people the impression that they are doing something, that they usually have these projects and initiatives and programs to try and reach people in particular ways. Sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't. So that shouldn't surprise anybody.
There is no trying to reach anyone. There's another program to help 2,500 students, youngsters.
So what do you find to be fundamentally wrong with it? Your line is breaking up. What do you find fundamentally wrong with the program? Hold on, I want to hear what you're saying, but your line. Hold on. I want to hear. Hey, people have to be able to hear you. We're not hearing you. The line is breaking up. So that's why I was telling you to back off the audio a bit. No. It is at extremely high. That's where the volume is, and therefore you can't go any higher. What you get after that is pure noise. Plus the internet signal is dropping. So come down. Let's bring down the volume.
All right, are you able to know?
Yes.
All right, what I'm saying is that this program, is the government I know,
Yes.
2,500 youngsters over 5 years. Each constituency, when it's 53 constituency, if I work down to 8 students per year, that, my brother, is not helping our society. If the government spend this money in a more broader sense, the
What?
youngsters are captured, they deserve some meaning.
In a more broader sense, go ahead. Give us some more of that. When you say in a more broader sense, what do you mean?
The broader sense, I'm saying that. You have youngsters who are leaving school. How much students are leaving school per year?
Normally about 53,000. Usually 13,000 go on to tertiary education or enter the workforce. The remaining 40,000 are said to be unattached.
All right. And you want me with 500 of that per year. That is a joke. That is a joke.
What would be serious?
My our private evaluation, my boarding, talk about a second chance program for all youngsters who are leaving school without subject, to help them to matriculate into the working world, to help them to matriculate into higher learning. That program would make sense because it might capture at least 15, 20,000 per year.
But you'd still have approximately 20,000 who are unattached.
Yes. But if you can capture at least 20,000 out of that per year, at least you'll make that then.
Okay.
My brother.
Yes.
Every year, almost every day now, you see a health minister on the radio, around television, coming on and talking about those mega projects. What they are going to do with the $5 billion building over 3 years. And yes, still the money has to go over 20 people. Yes, still they do have sponge, have water wounds. They do have gas. These things that are necessary right now. The minister not looking about. They start talking about project, 5-year project, and a grand PR team with it. Before I go, I would love the Prime Minister to tell the nation, those we the Jamaican people who pay tax, who pay the politicians, we need to know who are those who are being investigated for illicit enrichment. Because we hear every day from radio and TV of men of interest who have been charged of no crime, but they are men of interest and name call and all over the world. We didn't know these politicians who they are. Because these people who because they are cited for illicit enrichment, that's what I spend taxpayer money, because taxpayer money is the end themselves. I love Rest of Avenue, my brother.
All right, thanks for the call. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, am I speaking to Dervan, Malcolm?
You are.
Oh, thank God I finally got through. I'm calling all the way from the United States.
Welcome.
Dervan, believe me, you're leaving the old people in the United States behind. No one should be left behind in 2023.
Dervan?
I'm listening.
Okay, now, here's the problem, right? Not everyone has WhatsApp to call you for free. Not everyone have that on their phone. Old people, they just have regular phones and they dial a phone number and it costs them $1 per minute, to wait on the phone. I've been waiting for 36 minutes.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
I can understand. But, can I make a suggestion to solve that problem? Is it possible that you could please designate a United States line for your program, a U.S. line for your program, or an overseas line for your program, not necessarily U.S.?
Well, we used to have lines from the USA, Canada, UK. That
But those are lines to listen to the program, right?
No, man, I'm not talking about those. We had an arrangement. We had an arrangement where we had a phone that was specific for the diaspora, and it just didn't work out, and didn't stay in place long enough for it to make a difference.
The amount of money that I'm spending for this call, I could send it down there, and you use it and purchase a digital chip, and we have a U.S. line designated for U.S. caller. You understand what I'm saying? Because this call here is costing me $38 already, and I'm not off the phone as yet.
I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but we need to do something about that. If I can help, to purchase that chip, that will allow U.S. callers only. You know what I'm saying? You'll see the U.S. number coming in.
I'd have to defer to the technical team in terms of setting up a system. Mind you, it obviously would. I would imagine there would be a cost associated with it. So the station.
Right. And like I said, I don't mind paying the cost. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because for me to pay $38 already, it's leaving the old people behind.
Yeah.
I don't have WhatsApp. I know I can call WhatsApp for free, right? And be on hold for free on WhatsApp, but I don't have that. You're leaving a portion of society out.
Yes.
You have to make reservation for that portion. That's not technology. When you have technology, you can't leave no one behind.
Yeah.
Technology does not leave anyone behind. It provides service for everyone in every way, shape, or form.
Yeah, point taken.
There you go. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Anyhow, I would like to make a suggestion to correct your U.S. phone number, because I'm going to explain to you. This is the way as you can tell, I'm a senior, right? A Jamaican senior.
No, if you didn't tell me, I wouldn't know. You sound like a young person.
Well, thank you very much, because I've been told that ever since I was growing up, and I think even when I get to 99, I'll sound the same way too. But thank you very much for the compliment, right?
Yes.
But I am a senior United States citizen, and I only use push button phones, right? Flip phones, right?
Oh, sorry. Can you tell us more in just a moment, please? One moment.
Help us protect Jamaica's borders. Tell us about any illegal guns coming through customs controlled areas. Call Crime Stop at 311. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
3:30.
And when you do, you fantasize that when
Thanks a lot for staying with us on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Thanks for holding. Please go ahead.
Yes, like I said, I use a flip phone only, right?
Yes.
Now, fortunately, in the United States, when I make my calls to anywhere around the world, I get unlimited, to most of the countries, right? But they won't allow unlimited to Jamaica and a few more countries, maybe about, 25 more countries in the Caribbean. They don't allow no unlimited to the Caribbean. But you announce a phone number to call from the U.S., to listen to the program.
Yes.
Okay, now, that number, the way you announced it, right? I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever sat down and tried dialing that number from Jamaica?
At some point in the past, yes.
Okay, and did it work from Jamaica?
I was able to listen to not just Power 106, but other radio stations.
Thank you for educating your listeners, right? So now, when people in Jamaica is not able to pick up the radio station in Jamaica, they can dial that same number from Jamaica because Jamaica has unlimited to that phone number. Unlimited calls, unlimited time to that phone number. They can dial that same number from Jamaica. So in other words, instead of announcing that if you're in the United States, call this number. Just say if you would like to listen over your phone by dialing a number, call this number, and it would work. It would work from anywhere in the world. Because I tell people in England dial that number, and they dial it, and it works. I tell people in Canada, and most naturally, United States, I use the number. I dial it from the United States. And it works. It works from anywhere in the world.
All right,
That
noted.
same US number.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you would just change it so Jamaicans would know that if they can't pick up the radio station in their area, right, they can dial that number right there in Jamaica and listen to your radio station.
Yeah, that's so.
Thank you very much for that one, right?
All right.
And okay, I mentioned to you about the U.S. Designated phone number.
Yes.
Another thing I'd like to mention to you, how do you get your collection of heroes in this world? Because yesterday I was listening to the program, and I heard you mentioning all these heroes on a certain day, what they do and things like that.
Heroes.
How do you get the information of the heroes?
No, what happened is that we have long subscribed to the Gleaner archives, so that's one source. There is also from the History Channel, history.com. So it's a compilation that has been done over quite a number of years, maybe about 20 years collection of data. So the idea is let me tell you how it started quickly. Tony Leng, the late Tony Leng, used to be quite conversant with the history because of his age at the time. He was 60 going on 61 or something like that. And he would talk a lot about that history. And I felt that I needed to keep up with some of the historical data to help to contextualize who we are, why we are where we are, how we came to be where we are, what are some of the evolutions of our times, things that used to be done that are no longer being done, things that made a difference, etc. To just try and add a little something in terms of information. So that's really what that is.
Okay, well, I have a little history, and like I said, I'm a senior person, and I wouldn't mind hearing my history. And when you are announcing your history, if it's on a certain day, you would announce it on that day.
Well, it's according to it's date sensitive. It's usually date sensitive. So it's what happened on a particular day.
Right, but mine has happened long enough to become history. Mine has happened almost 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about it.
Just to let you know, you are speaking to Palm Beach County fastest waiter.
Say that again. Palm Beach.
Palm Beach County, Florida, fastest waiter.
Fastest waiter.
Fastest waiter.
Hmm.
Year between 1980 and 83.
Congratulations. I
Thank you very much.
had no idea.
I understand that. We break records in every way, shape, or form, especially when it comes to our physical speed.
Yes. Well done.
So the information was released on CBS TV in Palm Beach County, CBS 12 TV in Palm Beach County. It's also called Eyewitness 12, and it was also on WPTV Channel 5 West Palm Beach in those times, the year that I just mentioned. So if you want proof, you can get in touch with the station. They'll provide you with proof, and you can, add it to your archive. I learned a lot from you.
You're very kind. So let me see. Is it you're on WhatsApp though, aren't you?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Please, Dervan, I'm a senior.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I operate is a
push button phone. Yes, you did say that.
Yeah.
You did say that.
So you have to accommodate me with everything that you do in this world through a flip phone. Flip phone.
Yes.
I do text and I do phone call. That's basically what I do. Just text and phone call.
Yes.
That's the only thing that I do. So, unfortunately, when you get to a certain age, you just get, dropped out of the system. We won't here forever, so it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? Just the new generation will just take on, and then, all of us will be gone, and they won't remember us anymore, just like how they don't remember the 5-pound cellular phone that they used to have, that walk around that I used to pay $250 a month for.
Yes. No, we can't afford for the history to just die with us.
Yeah, I paid $250 per month for my cellular phone, right, back in 1979, right? And now I'm paying $10 per month for the same cellular phone. So basically what I did, I built the company up, and when they realized that they made enough money, they just dropped it down all the way down to $10 per month.
Oh.
And I'm getting the same service, unlimited. Well, actually, I'm getting better service because, I can text, I can, do all kind of stuff now for the same $10. When I used to pay $250 per month for the 5-pound telephone that I walk around in my hand, I never used to be able to text. I just used to be able to make phone call and receive phone call. That's it.
Right. Well,
so, these things happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm stuck with the push button phone, and I can't. There's no way out of it. That's what I'm able to use, and I'm going to continue to use that. Like I said, we won't be around forever, but for the time that we're here, we shouldn't be left behind.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We'll do our best.
Yes.
To ameliorate that situation.
Right. And also, thank you very much for helping me through the pandemic.
Oh, we're happy to have played a part.
Believe me, you have, because without this telephone here, I wouldn't be able to dial a phone number to listen to you throughout the pandemic. And that's what kept me alive throughout the pandemic.
We're humbled to have been able to play, if even a small part, in your life.
Yeah, your station has.
Yes.
So if you want to look up the information as far as the radio.
Yes, what do you suggest? What's the name of it? CBS, you said?
CBS 12 in West Palm Beach, or WPTV 5 in West Palm Beach, and just ask them for the fastest waiters. What should I say now? Fastest waiters race winner in between 1980 and 83. And a name is gonna come up that starts with R-E. Our first initial
making a note here.
Oh, I appreciate you doing that. I would, I would love to, hear my history on the things that you do, because these things, they happen, and I mean, we come here and we break records, and it's not being documented.
Yes. All right, we'll do our best. But can you hold the line so that we're able to get your number, if you don't mind?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, but thank you very much for the call. We appreciate your call. Thank you for your listenership and support.
Thank you very much.
And all the best. Hold the line, please. We'll take your number off air. Thank you. Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Lots of messages to clear. Let's clear them. Hello to Sophia Nemard in Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland. Good afternoon to you. Jessica says, Buenas tardes, sending love, peace, and favor your way on this gifted day of Tuesday. Inez Ayona Campbell says, Sir Dervan, respect has run out. Gone are those days when respect was our motto. Jermaine Davis says, hello from China. Oh, ni hao. Ni hao, Jermaine Davis. Ni hao ma. Good to see you online. Hope all is fine in China. We have very good memories of China, of being in China in 2017. Cherry Henry says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan and listeners. Very inspiring words to start your program. Thank you very much, though they're not my words. Those are the words contained in the spoken word piece by Baz Luhrmann, or at least voiced by Baz Luhrmann, Bazlurhman. Norman Hines in St. Thomas is tuned in. Inez Ayona Campbell asks, what's wrong with FB, as in Facebook, or is it the internet? The program is out more than it's on. Well, we hope those matters have settled now, or have been settled. Dr. Trevor Dixon, founder of Jaja Foundation, emergency medicine physician at Jacobi Medical Center in the Bronx, New York, says, greetings to all the listeners of Both Sides of the Story on Power 106 FM, listening from Jacobi Medical Center, Bronx, New York. We're happy to have you on board as usual, Dr. Dixon. Thank you very much. Derek Morgan says, greetings, Mr. D. I hope all is well with you and your listeners. Please give an 80th birthday shout out to Mama Loretta Goodison, Hartford, Connecticut, from her family members in Connecticut, USA, and Kingston 11 family. More life. More life to you, Mama Loretta Goodison in Hartford, Connecticut. All the best. Faye Weller, blessed love and blessed afternoon to you too. Thank you very much for listening. Choi Knight says, hello from Loganville, Georgia. Welcome, Choi Knight from Loganville, Georgia. And Ricardo in Glengoff, St. Catherine, as usual. And let's see. Albert in Coconut Creek, Florida says, Dervan, I wish you could tell John that the health minister is not responsible for the daily operation and maintenance of the hospitals and health centers. We'll read the rest of that message after the break.
They're your best link to your past.
For any project, ABC Electrical Sales has all your electrical supplies at the best prices. 8 Hagley Park Road, Kingston, 754-3714. The time by ABC Electrical Sales is
3:45. Need water for agricultural purposes? Apply to the National Irrigation Commission for your irrigation services. Let's grow smart and eat smart with irrigated agriculture. Call National Irrigation Commission at 876-927-6727. Visit their website at www.nicjamaica.com or visit any of their office locations today. Irrigation, making the difference in agriculture.
Well, never mind. You will not understand the power and beauty of your youth.
Back to the message from Albert in Coconut Creek, Florida. He says, Dervan, I wish you could tell John that the health minister is not responsible for the daily operation and maintenance of the hospitals and health centers. There are entities that have that responsibility, and from there, the individual entities must ensure their needs are met. John, reach out to the health centers before you start shouting match, getting you nowhere. Oh, yes, without a doubt, the Albert, the buck does in fact stop with the minister, any way you take it, just as it does with the prime minister, just as it does with a principal of an institution, etc. So it is. But thank you for your message nonetheless. All the best. Garfield Smith says hello, MK from UK. MK in UK. Thank you for connecting. Good to see you online, Garfield Smith. Let's go back to the phone lines 876 922 4112 to 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dervan. By time probably near the finish. I'm telling the guys who talk about Democrats and Republicans and people supporting Trump, remember history cannot change. Republican Abraham Lincoln, first Republican president, free black people in America, and Democrats with the House one, they the real House one. As opposed to they could fight with the Democrats Confederate. Democrats are the Confederate. The Republicans are the Union.
Hello?
America, yes.
We lost a bit of what you were saying. But clearly, the respective philosophies of both sides differ in some instances dramatically, don't they?
So the quantity of person voting Democrat ain't new. It was just like slave plantation, and that's political power. The oath one connected to Martha, that's a lot of politics, but it's not based upon principle of equality. It's based upon principle of my dinner plate versus the rest. I know I can punish them too. Camino was a prosecutor in California. Almost black them put to jail. So you listen. It's an evaluation that is different. It's not the quantity don't mean it's a black party. Democrat never a black party. So the more principled people.
Yeah, well, the world, whether we like it or not, whether we take it or leave it, the world is made up of all kinds. And it's for us to find ourselves and know ourselves to the point where we are able to navigate this global landscape, quite frankly, to then identify what we stand for and what we are prepared to take or not take, what we are prepared to do or not do, and then move from there. We are not homogeneous. We're not a homogeneous people, meaning we are not all the same. We don't think the same way. We don't do the same things. We don't behave in the same manner, etc. And it's just for us to recognize that, and in the sense of what's the name of that piece I like to recite that has to do with the way in which we take on the world or just deal with life, is the, what do we call it? The serenity prayer. That's what it is. The serenity prayer. That just sums it up nicely. That sums it up nicely. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Wisdom to know the difference. It actually goes beyond that. I usually stop there, but it goes on to say, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking as he did the sinful world as it is, not as I am. But we normally stop at difference, because it makes sense to accept the things I cannot change So God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Let's go back to the phone lines. 876-922-4112 to 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dervan.
Good afternoon.
I'm calling about from Portmore. Portmore become a forbidden place.
Why do you say that?
For instance, if you go to the tax office, you have to stand in the sun for hours before you can go inside. The tax office is just a little place, and they collect the most money from the resident in Portmore for land tax
In fact,
and other tax.
they say that Portmore perhaps have some of the most compliant taxpayers in Jamaica.
Right, and we don't have nowhere. Just a little place. The tax office is just a little bit bigger than my living room. You have to stand outside in the sun for hours. Look how time are so hot now.
How is it you're back there? I thought that sounds like during COVID.
No. Once you go over there from in the morning, you stand up, you get number and you stand up outside. And then they will, after 9:30, you will go in 4x4.
Uh-oh. So the place is obviously too small. It needs to be expanded.
It's just a little place. The government just use Portmore just for political reason. Because they don't think nothing about the residents of Portmore. Nothing. I don't understand. There is a junction between Westport and Bridgeport, and there it's a hotspot. We have a lot of accidents. I call the councillor, I say it's not his. He don't responsible for it. It's a NWA. I talk to Season Shaw. Him saying don't have money to put up a stoplight. I asked if you could put up a 4-way stop sign, because every day they hit down the wall. They kill people on the pedestrian crossing.
Which wall is that?
It's right at Westport and Bridgeport Road.
Oh, okay.
This is where you have people from Westmead, Garbymead, Westport, Bridgeport. They all go there so to take the transport. So you have the taxi racing to come there because they always have passenger there to go place.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to talk to Mr. Miller over 3 months now, and he doesn't reply to one of my emails.
Who's Mr. Miller?
He's the MP for the area.
Oh, he's the one they call, what's his name?
I don't know. I just know him as Miller.
Big Bob? Is it Bob Miller?
I don't know what Miller name. I just know them say Mr. Miller is the MP.
Oh.
We are leave here without nothing. Mr. Portmore is one of the more expensive places in Jamaica. If you go over the plaza, Port Henderson Plaza, to buy a pier, you have to park out $400 or $350. A pound of yam is for $500. A pound of potato is $300 a pound. A pound of what you call it, everything over here is very expensive.
Need some competition in the area then, perhaps?
Competition. Where we going to get the competition? Because as one person come over here, then join the crowd. That is what taking place. The government have to do something about Portmore. That's why crime is so rampant over here, and nobody hear nothing. They want to make this place a parish, and you don't have no facilities for the residents in Portmore. Number one, you have to get a good tax office. You can't have people sit down in sun in a hot time like now, because as you know, Portmore is what? Portmore is named the Sunshine City.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get rain over here, maybe once or twice a year.
All that now you should, the people of Portmore need to convert that or monetize that exceptionalism, that of being the sunshine city.
I don't know what happened to Portmore. I don't know if it's they have too much pride or they are because once if it was for me alone, something would have to be done for Bridgeport Road. Either we put some sleeping policeman or do something because we cannot just have the traffic just running down there, killing people, lot of accidents, and nothing is done. If you see the wall, there's a wall put up there say welcome to Westport, and vehicle run into it and hit it down. There's a house on the other side. They run into it and then hit down the wall. The bus stop coming from, not the bus stop, the stop sign coming from Westport. Vehicle coming along Bridgeport Road, come off the road and run over there and lick down the side. Because on this piece of road, it's like a race ground. The national NWA dig up the road about around 9 months ago, and right now if you go up, there is a big plastic put crossway a part of the road because there's some big hole there that them don't repair it, them don't fix it. And I asked the councillor, I said, it's time for we to take action.
Is there a citizens association?
There's a lot of citizen association over here, but all them do is just talk in the community. No one think about what is taking place. Dervan, I came to Jamaica and I was one morning around the back of the house, and when I look, I saw a guy tearing down a door, and I called Bridgeport police station and said, someone is ripping off somebody's door. And a lady answered me and said to me, we don't have any transport. Here's the number for 100 man, call 100 man. I said, lady, every phone call you make in Jamaica, you have to pay. I think you have a two-way radio. If you could just use the two-way radio and talk to 100 man and ask them and could assist. And she hung up. Anyway, I called 100 man. When I called, them told me that them didn't have any transport. And then the lady said, hold on, I think we have a patrol vehicle close by. That was about 10 o'clock. And it's 2:30 the evening, the vehicle come. And I say, you just come in now? The people then would die a long time.
Well, that sounds like there's a disconnect between the people and the administrators of the city.
Everything over here is different with Dervan. I called Waterford fire station one night. We have a big rain and water begin come up inside the house. And when I called them, told me them don't have a vehicle. So I said to them, why not call your park and let them know that we need assistance. And the girl said, give me your phone number. I will call you back when we have something.
Oh dear.
And I used to be a fireman. I know if you call one station and them don't have a truck to send, them call your park and tell your park, and your park is the one who will call other station and send a truck from that station, or if them don't have any from your park to send. But everything over in Portmore is different.
And not in a good way.
Not in a good way. And the MP over here is not doing anything. I don't know how these people run and say them going to do help, and you do nothing.
All right, we have to take another break. Would you like to leave it there?
Okay.
All right, thank you for the call. Take care.
Trust me on the sunscreen.
At Wellington Dental, they offer cleaning, filling, whitening, and other services for the entire family. The time by Wellington Dental is
4 o'clock.
Sunscreen. If I could offer you only one tip for the future.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. live on your smart devices all over the world. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112 876-922-4112. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can also call us on WhatsApp 876 365 3346. 876 365 3346. Continuing with more on your program, both sides of the story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Hello to Karen Rowe. She says, Sir Dervan, that grated corn dumpling is delicious. My grandma would make it for us growing up. Long time ago. LOL, she says. Thanks for sharing, Karen Rowe. Also messaging us, Garfield, that's Garfield, well, MK in the UK. Let's just use the alias. In the meantime, to the WhatsApp line, 876-365-3346. Let's see what's up on WhatsApp. Here we go. Franklin McDonald in Guelph, Canada says there's no need to dial a number. They can listen on their smart speaker. I have been listening on smart speaker to your program for at least 6 years, says Franklin McDonald in response to the caller, the senior citizen in Florida, who called us earlier on and expressed some concerns and made some suggestions. Thank you very much, Franklin McDonald in Guelph, Canada. This one says, hi Dervan, why is Digicel raising the late fee from $250 to $500? And when you pay early, there is no payment incentive of same. Too much, says this person. Well, if you and other Digicel subscribers feel the same way, then it means that you have the capacity to cause the company to make an adjustment one way or another. After all, the company can't do without you. People can't do without people. As in customers, to be more precise. They can't do without us. That's a fact. Clarky Bless in Huntstown, St. Mary says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Happy Tuesday to you and your listeners. How big is Donald Trump's legal problems? And what is the difference between states and federal charges? Also, can Mr. Trump still become president of the U.S. due to the 4 indictments against him? Clarky Bless in Huntstown, St. Mary. Well, it goes without saying that all that has been gathered so far and all that are being pursued are likely to have implications for some time to come. For some time to come. That's as much as we'll say at this stage. Beverly says, good day, my teacher. We grate the corn, add a little flour to make the dumpling. We cook the dry pumpkin and the real coconut oil and the saltfish, good to go with some lemonade juice. All right. You're making me hungry now, Miss Beverly. Thank you very much for sharing. Inez Ayona Campbell says, good afternoon, Mr. Dervan. This is what keeps coming up every 5 or so minutes. And that's a picture of me waiting for live video signal. Even now, that must have been earlier. Because from what we're seeing here, hold on, let's do a quick check. From what we are seeing here, we have been live for some time now on YouTube and still live. Let's see. Let's see. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's a live image of me in the studio looking at myself.
Yeah, that's a live image of me in the studio.
There you go. So I'm not sure what's happening on your end, Inez Ayona Campbell, but it's not happening here. We hope that is resolved in short order. And Miss Del Mignot, apparently there's an interview. Somebody has posted it on WhatsApp, an interview that was done to talk about the LIFT program. Neville, otherwise known as Salah, says, straight corn Dervan. You'll grate the corn to make the dumplings. When the corn dry, you boil them to get them a little tender. You make porridge, blue draws, some people call it tire leaf. So we make dumplings from the dry corn, Salah from Kingston. And a follow-up message, Dervan Neville is becoming a little too graphic. What I don't like, Neville is pointing to the people next door to him, saying that they are not paying utilities. Neville don't need to come on daytime radio pointing out people. He needs to back off a little. Salah from Kingston. Thank you very much for your message, Salah from Kingston. And I believe we have exhausted the WhatsApp messages for the time being. And here is a text message. Hi, Dervan. The corn dumpling is very nutritious, and the grated corn is in its natural form. Most informative program. Audrey. Thank you very much, Miss Audrey, for listening. And all the very best to you and yours. Thank you. Continuing with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Paro 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Are there any past students of St. George's College listening right now or watching? Well, the year was 1850. On this day in 1850, St. George's Colonial College opened its doors. Put another way, St. George's Colonial College opened its doors on this day in 1850. The Catholic institution was established by 21 Jesuits from the Roman Catholic missionary organization known as the Society of Jesus. The Jesuits came to Jamaica after their expulsion from Colombia and established what is now known as St. George's College on this day in 1850. This was 310 years after the Society of Jesus received its charter from Pope Paul III in August 1540. The Jesuit order played an important role in the Counter-Reformation and eventually succeeded in converting millions around the world to Catholicism. The Jesuit movement was founded by Ignatius de Loyola. Let's do that again. Ignatius de Loyola, a Spanish soldier turned priest in August 1534. But back to the Jesuits who founded St. George's College on this day in 1850. With their considerable experience as tertiary educators in Bogota and Medellin, they were able to offer a curriculum which included Latin, Greek, French, Spanish, English, rhetoric, history, mathematics, logic, metaphysics, ethics, drawing, and calligraphy. Can we bring back those subjects, please? This was St. George's College, which was founded on this day. It opened its doors on this day in 1850. This is an idea of what the curriculum was like for those who attended St. George's College back in 1850 and later. The subjects included, the curriculum included Latin, Greek, French, Spanish, English, rhetoric, history, mathematics, logic, metaphysics, ethics. You see that key one there? ETH, they're all important. ETHICS, ethics. That has, the poem about the road not taken. What has made the difference here for so many down the years attending classes at St. George's College? That 6-letter word, ETHICS, ethics. They were taught ethics at St. George's College. 1914, the Panama Canal was inaugurated with the passage of the U.S. vessel Ancon, a cargo and passenger ship. After decades of protest and negotiations, the Panama Canal passed to Panamanian control in December 1999. It was on November 18, 1903, the U.S. and Panama signed a treaty that granted the U.S. rights to build the Panama Canal. The Hay-Buna-Varilla Treaty, the Hay-Buna-Varilla Treaty, was signed with Panama, granting the United States exclusive and permanent possession of the Panama Canal Zone. In exchange, Panama received $10 million and an annuity of $250,000 beginning 9 years later. The treaty was negotiated by U.S. Secretary of State John Hay and the owner of the Panama Canal Company. Almost immediately, the treaty was condemned by many Panamanians as an infringement on their country's new national sovereignty. 1916, on this day in 1916, a hurricane swept across Jamaica before leaving the following day. August 16, 1916. Neville Leopold Bonito was born in Kingston on this day in 1924. Neville Leopold Bonito established himself as a leading batsman in the Senior Cup competition. Both his brother and his cousin Arthur had preceded him in playing for Jamaica. The tall, stylish, right-handed Neville Leopold Bonito learned his cricket at elementary school and played for Melbourne Club alongside his cousin Arthur and the leading Melbourne batsman, O.C. Stevenson.
The older you get, the more you need.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session. Power 106. You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:15. Supreme Real Estate, licensed real estate dealers, the experts in residential, commercial, industrial, hotels, and villa sales, rentals, and leases. Supreme Real Estate, Main Street, Salem, Runaway Bay, St. Anne. Call 876-973-5026 or 876-973-6142 and email supremerealestate@cwjamaica.com.
Yeah, great experience. I will dispense this advice.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Now to the story of the Monigue Lake. The Monigue Lake started rising on this day in 1933. 9 months later, on May 14, 1934, the acting governor, Sir Arthur Jeff, and other officials, senior officials, visited the Monique Lake in St. Anne to assess its potential as a tourist attraction. They find hundreds of acres, roads, and 18 houses in the area underwater. Motorboats and canoes were being used for transport and recreation, especially at weekends when visitors and Jamaicans from Kingston and other parts of the island visit the site for picnics, swimming, and sailing. A quick search of historical records revealed that the lake appeared in May 1811, and on other occasions, Monigue was first rendered Moneque, also Monesca Savannah, and it is claimed is of Arawak origin. Spanish documents have Manegua for Monigue. The name Monigue is also believed to be a corruption of the Spanish Monagua, after an underground lake in the area that rose periodically. Northeast of the village of Monigue is a low-lying area which from time to time is covered with floodwaters which form a temporary lake. It is believed that the lake originates in periods of heavy rain from underground water that backs up and rises, the normal channels being unable to take the abnormal flow. Was a popular overnight spot to break the 3-day coach journey between the North Coast and the capital, Spanish Town. So Monigue used to be famous for the high quality of its inns, INNS. In 1860, a hotel at Monigue was described as the best in the island. Around 1890, the Monigue Hotel was built in time to provide accommodation for visitors expected for the great exhibition held where Woolmer's Boys' School now stands. That was in 1891. Visitors usually traveled by train as far as Ewerton and were met by the hotel carriage for the journey over Mount Diablo. However, with the widespread use of the motorcar, Monigue was no longer necessary as a stopping place, and all of the inns eventually closed. The Monigue Hotel is now part of the Monigue College. And while we're on the subject of flood rains, 1933, we're still in 1933. Yes, still in 1933. Flood rains wreaked havoc on houses and other buildings in Kingston and St. Andrew on this day in 1933. 1 month later, on September 15, 1933, the Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation decided that in the future, it would not pass any plans for buildings to be erected near any gully course in the corporate area. The KCC also instructed the town clerk to ask government to pass the necessary legislation. The decision was arrived at after studying and discussing the report of the city engineer on the damage done to houses and other buildings caused by the flood rains, which wreaked havoc in Kingston and St. Andrew on this day in 1933. 1947, at the stroke of midnight, 1947, and in the chaotic first days of self-rule, India erupted in religious and ethnic rioting. A new nation, Pakistan, had been partitioned from India as a homeland for its large minority Muslim and Sikh populations, SIKH, and now millions of people were uprooted and moved to new homes or stayed at home to face violence from ethnic foes. Hundreds of thousands died in the region's bloody round of birth pains. East Pakistan, a province of the new Islamic nation, was set aside for Muslims living in India's eastern provinces in 1971 as a civil war there would bring forth another new nation, Bangladesh. On this day in 1966, Prince Philip opened the second Commonwealth Paraplegic Games at the university's playing field, Mona. 1992, Wilfred Gerald Jackie Edwards died on this day in 1992. Wilfred Gerald Jackie Edwards was a Jamaican musician and a songwriter whose career took in ska, R&B, soul, rocksteady, reggae, and ballads. Jackie Edwards was born in Jamaica and came to the attention of Chris Blackwell in 1959 when Blackwell set up Island Records in London in 1962. Edwards traveled with him. Edwards worked as a singer and songwriter for Island as well as performing duties such as delivering records. He wrote both Keep On Running and Somebody Help Me that became number one on the singles charts in the United Kingdom for the Spencer Davis Group. He continued to work as a recording artist himself with regular album releases through to the mid 1980s. And let's go down the line. The founder of Vaz Preparatory School, Hazel Louise Vaz, died on this day in 2006. Hazel Louise Vaz, née Chaplin, founder, disciplinarian, devoted Christian, educator, and philanthropist, was born in Morant Bay, St. Thomas, the youngest daughter of Arnold and Caroline Chaplin. Growing up, she admired her eldest sister Sybil and aspired to be just like her, to be a nurse. But fate had its own agenda. As soon as she completed junior Cambridge at Wolmer's High School for Girls, she applied to nursing school, only to be told to wait as she was too young. While waiting, she decided to take up a temporary teaching post at Morris Nib Preparatory School. This one term stretched into 20 years until 1951 when she launched out on her own. In months following Hurricane Charlie in 1951, Hazel Vaz started her school on September 10, 1951. The Vaz Preparatory started in an old wooden garage at 11.5 Dunoon Road in Kingston, where Hazel Vaz lived as a tenant. Her first three students were her daughter, Paulette Vaz, and the two younger children of her sister, Sissy Boggis, or Bodges. They were Hazel Vaz's niece, Beverly, and her nephew, Maurice. 61 years later, Vaz Preparatory School, well, it's more than 61 now since this was compiled, is now a living testimony to her faith and Christ's faithfulness. From this small acorn, a mighty oak flourishes. Aunt Hazel, as she is fondly called, served her community in East Kingston and her country well. She was awarded the Order of Distinction in 1982 by the government of Jamaica in recognition of her contribution to education. That's where we're going to leave the history for today. Thank you very much for your indulgence as we take some more of your messages right now. Velta Wilson says, good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. I'm tuning in from Port Antonio. Welcome, Velta Wilson from Port Antonio. Good afternoon to you. Andrew Lyons asks, why you're not reading my text? Because Andrew Lyons, well, first of all, I haven't gotten around to your message yet. But based on your previous text messages, I have to be careful the extent to which I am able to read your message. And that's not because of any fault of mine, but of yours, Andrew Lyons, based on what you actually write. You might be free to do that at a rum bar, to run your mouth like that at a bar, or on your veranda, or in your bathroom, or wherever else. We have stewardship of the airwaves, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. And so we can't do what you do. But anyway, I'll demonstrate to our listeners what we mean by just reading what can be read of Andrew Lyons' message. Good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm. Tell Jamaica the truth. Have you ever heard this PNP set of people talk hard or talk wicked against gunmen? This is the kind of message I get from Andrew Lyons. Do you hear any member of the PNP talk tough against what happened to those people in Portmore whose house was burned down? That is why we need to find a way to get rid of the PNP out of our system of government. This is the language of Andrew Lyons. So we usually, when he writes us, we have to hop, skip, and jump over some of the words and terms and phrases and innuendos. That's that. Uh, so you shouldn't have to ask why, Andrew Lyons. You shouldn't have to ask why. You know why. You very well know why. This is not a rum bar. And you're not on your veranda or wherever else. This is free to air radio. And so we are supposed to be the gatekeepers as to what goes out. And we're not going to abdicate our responsibility. Thank you very much for your message. Let's see who else is messaging us here on your program, both sides of the story. Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Live on your smart devices all over the world. Taking your calls on 876 922 4112-5. 876 922 4112-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876 365 3346. 876 365 3346. So, Time Health is introducing a disease I'm hearing about for the first time. And the question is, well, the headline in Time Health magazine is why we're hearing more about Lyme disease this summer. Lyme is spelled Lyme. So this is from Time Health magazine. Why we're hearing more about Lyme disease this summer. And that Lyme is spelled Lyme. Let's see if we can find out. Here's the article by Alice Park. It's summer, which means vacations, leisurely outdoor activities, and Lyme disease. That's Lyme. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has been tracking rising numbers of cases over the past few decades due to a number of factors, including the push into suburban areas where the Lyme-spreading ticks flourish. Climate change also plays a role. It may be expanding the tick's natural range.
Will rise, politicians will philander, you too.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session. Power 106. You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30.
Your farm is more than just a farm. It's a career for you and your co-workers. It's income for Aunt Winnie on the corner of Main Street. It's nourishment for tables around Jamaica. Your farm is more than a farm. It's your promise to your family that you do everything you can to provide for them. At H&L Agro, your farm means everything to us. We support Jamaican farmers and landscapers with equipment, tools, and supplies needed for success. H&L Agro has solutions for a growing world, and we will help you grow your potential.
Would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis.
So here's the rest of the story published by Time Health magazine with respect to Lyme disease, Lyme. Here's what Lyme experts want us to know about the latest season. Testing for Lyme, Lyme, doesn't work the same way as testing for COVID-19. Lyme tests detect the antibodies people make against the disease called, let's do that again. Lyme tests detect the antibodies people make against the disease causing bacteria and not the bacteria itself, which is why it may take several weeks for infected people to test positive. Not every tick, T-I-C-K, carries the Lyme bacteria, Borrelia burgdorferi, and that's the name of the bacteria, the Lyme bacteria, the scientific name, Borrelia, B-O-R-R-E-L-I-A, burgdorferi, B-U-R-G-D-O-R-F-E-R-I. So not every tick carries the Lyme bacteria, Borrelia burgdorferi, and not every infected tick transmits the bacteria to people. It takes ticks 36 to 48 hours of feeding on human blood to transmit the bug. It takes ticks 36 to 48 hours of feeding on human blood to transmit the bug. And researchers are currently testing vaccines and treatments that would protect people from getting sick, even if they're bitten by an infected tick. And let's see. We can prevent overdose deaths if we change how we think about them. That's another story. Most life-saving medicine is uncontroversial and ubiquitous. Overdose prevention should be treated the same way, writes Ryan Hampton. Just giving you a snippet of a couple of stories from the Time Health magazine. And there's a question, do massages have real health benefits? That's a story written by Markham Hyde, M-A-R-K-H-A-M, Markham Hyde, H-E-I-D. Another story, why you shouldn't love your kids more than your partner. This one is by Belinda Luscombe, Luscombe. Why you shouldn't love your kids more than your partner. And those are just some of the stories from Time Health that we have decided to share with you, our faithful listeners at home and abroad. So let's go now to another of the stories. And this is the CPI Bulletin, Consumer Price Index. It's taking a while to open. So the inflation rate as at July 2023, according to the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, 1.1%. And the factors contributing to that situation: food and non-alcoholic beverages, 2.3%. Housing, water, well, that's up. Food and non-alcoholic beverages up 2.3%. Housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels up 0.5%. Recreation, sports, and culture up 0.4%. And point-to-point inflation rate, 6.6%. The factors, food and non-alcoholic beverages, up 11.3%, restaurants and accommodation, 12.4%, furnishings, household equipment, and routine household maintenance, 11.3%, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, 1.6%. So that's the Consumer Price Index published today, and happy to share the information with you. So the information, just to sum it up, the All Jamaica Consumer Price Index increased by 1.1% for July 2023. The chief contributor was a 2.3% rise in the index for the food and non-alcoholic beverages division. Sounds like we're eating more, drinking more, consuming more. And there are instances when we eat more and we stuff ourselves because we're depressed or stressed, and there are other reasons as well. So the chief contributor to the Consumer Price Index being increased by 1.1% was a 2.3% rise in the index for the food and non-alcoholic beverages division. This was due largely to 9.9%, a 9.9% increase in the index for the class vegetables, tubers, plantains, cooking bananas, and pulses. Well, this is an encouraging bit of news for the CPI to be telling us that the 1.1% increase in the consumer price index was due largely to a 9.9% increase in the index for the class vegetables, tubers, plantains, cooking bananas, and pulses. Isn't that a good thing that we're eating these ground provisions and vegetables and so on? Also, drought conditions continued to adversely affect the supply of agricultural produce, resulting in higher prices for items such as cabbage, Irish potato, tomato, sweet pepper, and yellow yam. So consumers have had to pay higher prices for these items. Cabbage, more money. Irish potato, more money. Tomato, more money. Sweet pepper, more. And yellow yam costing more as well. Also impacting the inflation rate was the 0.5% increase in the index for the housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels. And so we're burning a lot of gas in terms of motor vehicles and other gas-powered mechanisms, systems, processes. Electricity, well, if you have to deal with the heat that we've had to deal with, you can well understand why the electricity bill would go up. Water also up because we're drinking more water, even those of us who never used to drink water or enough water. We have to be constantly hydrating and rehydrating. And then, of course, there's housing. So the point-to-point inflation rate as at July 2023, 6.6%. In terms of the All Jamaica Divisional Indices and Movement, it's just a lot of numbers. We don't want you to suffer from information overload. But essentially, looking at we touched on some of these areas already anyway. So let's move on. But the story is for the point-to-point period, July 2022 to July 2023, the Consumer Price Index, CPI, increased by 6.6%. You can visit the Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin website and see the numbers for yourselves. Thank you very much for your indulgence and all the very best. Continuing with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Still taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5, text line same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can call us on WhatsApp as well. That number is 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. Now, how are we doing as far as international trade or external trade bulletin is concerned? Well, let's see what the Statistical Institute of Jamaica has found. For the period January to April 2023, Jamaica's total spending on imports was valued at $2,438.7 million, while earnings from total exports were valued at $677.5 million US dollars. So that's the deficit, the trade deficit. We have been, between January and April 2023, we have been importing goods and services valued at $2,438.7 million US dollars. Now, how much have we been exporting? Our exports for the period January to April 2023 are valued at US $677.5 million. For the period, the value of imports increased 5.8%. So we're importing more than the last time Statin published this data. So 5.8% more when compared to the same period in 2022. This increase was largely attributed to higher imports of raw materials, or what are called intermediate goods, consumer goods, and capital goods, excluding motor cars, which rose by 8.7%, 9.6%, and 18.5%, respectively. The increase in total exports for the January to April 2023 period was 32% above the US $513.2 million earned in the similar 2022 period. You can check the Statistical Institute's website for more information.
For it makes you soft. Travel. Except
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45.
you too will get old. And when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone else to support you. Maybe you have a trust fund. Maybe you'll have a wealthy spouse. But you never know when either one might run out. Don't mess too much with your hair, or by the time you're 40, it will look 85. Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. So statin has been turning out the numbers in terms of the consumer price index, the international trade numbers, and they also have for us, apart from the external trade bulletin and the CPI, they also have the labor force survey as at April 2023. And what have we found? The highlight: unemployment rate 4.5%, down 1.5% from April 2022. Labor force participation rate 65.4%. But then when you break it down in terms of males and versus females, 70.9% of the males are participating in the labor force. 60.2% of the females are participating in the labor force. The employed labor force in Jamaica is 1,312,600. So 1.3 million, that's Jamaica's employed labor force. 1,312,600. That's an increase of 3.4%. The employed labor force broken down into male and female. Employed labor force, the males employed in the labor force, 705,200. Females, 607,400. So there's a 2% increase in the number of males employed in the labor force. There's a 5.1% increase in the number of females in the labor force. 607,400 women employed in the labor force, 705,200 men. And so the combined employed labor force, 1,312,600. The youth unemployment rate, 12% males, 12.3% females. The unemployment rate by sex, 3.4% males, 5.7% females. The top 4 increases by industry groups in terms of labor: real estate and other business services, 15,300. Wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, 13,100 employed. Accommodation and food service activities, 7,500 more people in the employed labor force. Education, human health, and social work activities, 6,300 additional such workers. So 15,300 more people being employed in the real estate and other business services, 13,100 in the wholesale and retail trade, repair and motor vehicles and motorcycles, 7,500 more being employed in accommodation and food service activities, 6,300 more being employed in the fields of education, human health, and social work activities. Now, the top 4 increases by occupation groups: service workers and shop and market sales workers, 27,700 more people. For the elementary occupations, 12,800 more people. For the clerks, 11,100. For professionals, senior officials, and technicians, 7,100 more. So those are the numbers. Here's another story that just, this is the one we saw earlier today or heard earlier today. NCB trims workforce at Link Digital Wallet. NCB Financial Group has unveiled plans to trim the workforce at the digital wallet Link, operated by its fintech subsidiary TFOB. While the exact count of affected employees remains undisclosed, the banking conglomerate confirmed its ongoing strategic workforce adjustments in tandem with other initiatives aimed at enhancing operational efficiency and cost management. The move underscores NCB Financial Group's focus on bolstering efficiency, governance, and customer experience, a sentiment recently emphasized by interim group CEO Robert Almeida and Chairman Michael Lee Chin during their third quarter investor briefing held last Friday. Hello to Galloway Kevin, who's joining us on YouTube, saying greetings to you, Mr. Dervan, Malcolm, and all who are of the household of faith. Peace be upon Israel. Can I send money to Pakistan from Jamaica? And how, if any? Well, you could Google sending money to Pakistan and see what you find. Not sure if Western Union does that. But in the age of Google, should be able to find that out. Here's how to transfer money to a Pakistan bank account online. Log on, blah, blah, blah. It's all there. Western Union Canada is also listed. So that's another possible. And there's a website as well. More information on how to send money to Pakistan from Canada. So you can check that out. Thank you very much for your message. And all the very best. As we continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Horace, otherwise known as Spider, says, Mr. Malcolm, I told you before about how police operated in Jamaica. Sometimes I wonder if some of these policemen just come to work waiting on month end to collect their pay. And it's like there is no one to say, hey, what's happening? Only when some of them don't meet their quota of traffic tickets for the day, I think, she says. Now, I'm sure, Horace, otherwise known as Spider, the police would tell you otherwise, I'm sure. I'm sure they would tell you otherwise. But thank you very much for your message nonetheless. As we continue with more, and we get ready to wrap today's edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, here on Power 106 FM. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Tuesday, the 15th of August, 2023. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, Both Sides of the Story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, This is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care.
Your life are apt to be things that never crossed your worried mind, kind that blindside you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Do one thing every day that scares you. Say, don't be reckless with other people's hearts. Don't put up with people who are reckless with yours. Floss. Don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember compliments you receive. Forget the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how. Keep your old love letters. Throw away your old bank statements. Stretch. Don't feel guilty if you don't know what you want to do with your life. The most interesting people I know didn't know at 22 what they wanted to do with their lives. Some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I know still don't. Get plenty of calcium. Be kind to your knees. You'll miss them when you're gone. Maybe you'll marry, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll have children, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll divorce at 40. Maybe you'll dance the funky chicken on your 75th wedding anniversary. Whatever you do, don't congratulate yourself too much, or berate yourself either. Your choices are half chance. So are everybody else's. Enjoy your body. Use it every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what other people think of it. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Dance. Even if you have nowhere to do it but in your own living. Read the directions, even if you don't follow them. Do not read beauty magazines. They will only make you feel ugly. Get to know your parents. You never know when they'll be gone for good. Be nice to your siblings. They're your best link to your past and will be most likely to stick with you in the future. Understand that friends come and go, but with a precious few, you should hold on. Work hard to bridge the gaps in geography and lifestyle, because the older you get, the more you need the people you knew when you were young. Live in New York City once, but leave before it makes you hard. Live in Northern California once, but leave before it makes you soft. Travel. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise, politicians will philander, you too will get old. And when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone else to support you. Maybe you have a trust fund. Maybe you'll have a wealthy spouse. But you never know when either one might run out. Don't mess too much with your hair, or by the time you're 40, it will look 85. Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. But trust me on the sunscreen.
Bye.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
Bye bye.
news, comprehensive, powerful.